Welcome back. This is episode 209 of the Veterinary Business video show. In this episode we'll hear about what could be the most profitable centre in your practice, and we'll learn how to survive the pinch of middle management. We'll see how to get employees to make progress on their own without being pushed. We'll hear about staff culture, mentoring and well-being in the United Kingdom and North America, and I'll offer you my quick business tip for this episode. I'm John Sheridan and this is the video show from Veterinary Business. Understanding the financial performance of veterinary practices is very simple. There are only three costs. First, the cost of products sold to clients or used in delivering professional services. Second, the cost of all the people, employers and employees involved in delivering those services. And third, everything else. Apart from a very few individual cost items which may fluctuate in line with transaction volume, the only major variable cost is the first of those categories. That's why in the majority of practices, every additional pound or dollar of income from delivering professional services will add a pound or a dollar to your bottom line. Here's a clip from Gary Glassman, who recommends that your lab or diagnostic area could be the most profitable centre in your practice.
Improving the profitability of your practice needs to be looked at from two perspectives. One could be from the expenses and the expense side of your practice, looking at what you're spending your money on in your practice, or the revenue side. But one should remember and suggest that 75% of the costs of running a veterinary hospital are basically fixed. And under that premise, if you're trying to improve profitability, one of the first things you want to do is look at your income streams and determine where the strength of those income streams are and how to change them for improving that profitability. In that respect, we could look at and suggest, well, what are the most profitable centers in your hospital? What you'd find is that your lab or diagnostic area is the most profitable center in your hospital. If you're looking to create that change in profitability, start there. Second would be your product center and what you sell for products and the margin on those products. That is the number two profit center. And so just focusing and concentrating on those two things can make a big difference. The other thing that would be interesting to understand and look at is that you need to remember that 80% of your revenue is driven from about 20% of the services and products you sell. So if you go to your computer system and run reports suggesting what are the top 20% products, what are the top 20% services, even minor price changes in those top 20% items can make a significant difference again in profitability.
Now let's see who's on the video show Soapbox. One of the reasons for the success of the VPMA in the UK and the VHMA in the United States is that they provide a forum where everyone with an interest in the business of veterinary practice can share their knowledge and experience, and if needs be, seek support and encouragement from their fellow members working in other practices. In some ways, the practice management role may be the most difficult because veterinary practices generally employ just one manager, and they can be caught between the demands of their employer on the one hand and the inherent pressure of maintaining the practice facilities, employees and financial and other resources on the other. Here's a clip in which Ed Musio explains how to survive the pinch of middle management.
Hi, I'm Ed Musio, CEO of Group Harmonics, and I'm going to tell you how to survive the pinch of middle management. Are you a middle manager who feels trapped? Pressure above you from senior executives, pressure below you from people underneath you in the organization, not sure what to do? This is a common occurrence. Performance expert Bill Daniels taught me a metaphor for an organization that explains both why this happens and what you can do about it. The metaphor is fairly simple. It's just a car. These are four tires, top view of a car that's heading this way. So here at the top of the picture, between the front tires, we have the engine. Now the engine provides drive, provides push to the car. Over here in your organization, we have the C-suite, VPs, and some senior leaders. These people provide drive to the organization by setting strategy. That's the top. Next, in the car, we have the drive shaft. This goes down the middle of the car to carry that drive to the part where motion happens. In the organization, in the middle, that's you, the middle manager. You carry that strategy down through the organization by running operations. Finally, in the car, we have the back tires here at the bottom. This is where the rubber meets the road, where real motion happens. In the organization, at the bottom, we have supervisors, individual contributors. These are the people doing the tactics, the actual work. This is where the rubber meets the road, where motion actually happens. Now, what I like about this car metaphor is it addresses the issue of translation. In the car, here between the engine and the drive shaft, you have the transmission. The transmission translates the movement of the engine into the rotation of the drive shaft. At the back of the car, you also have, between the drive shaft and the rear wheels, the rear differential. This translates the motion of the drive shaft into the movement of the tires. Without two translations, the system doesn't move. Similarly, in your organization, you have two translations. We need to translate from strategy to operations and translate again from operations to tactics. Without two translations, the system doesn't move. This is why as a middle manager, you're stuck in the middle. The pressure from above you, from the senior leaders, is about strategy, getting things done at a strategic level. The pressure up from the bottom is tactical pressure, why things aren't working. It's as if, in the language of the car, you have the engine trying to move the car, you have the wheels stuck, and you're right here in the center, pinched, getting twisted in two different directions. So, what can you do about this? Well, there are two things you should do. The first is you need to become trilingual. You need to speak all the languages of the organization. You need to speak the language of strategy. That's usually a financial language, things like revenue and market share. You need to speak the language of operations, things like program roadmaps and product launches. And you need to speak the language of tactics, things like factory outputs, customer satisfaction scores. You need to speak these languages because whenever you speak to somebody, you need to speak to them in their native language. When you talk to CEOs and senior leaders, talk to them in terms of strategy first. When you talk to supervisors and individual contributors, talk to them first in terms of tactics, always in the native language. The second thing you need to do is you need to become a language teacher. It's actually not enough for you to just speak the languages, you have to teach the languages. So after you speak to that CEO or senior leader or CFO in terms of strategy, you're going to begin to educate that person in your language, teach them the operational consequences of strategic decisions. And after you speak to those lower level people in terms of tactics, you're going to begin to show them the operational consequences of their tactics, why it matters. You might even go all the way up here and show them the strategic consequences of their tactics. You see what you're doing here is you're integrating along the system. If we go back to the car, you're strengthening this system by spreading the load out over the whole drive shaft, top to bottom, instead of having it concentrate on you. That's why it works. Now, I'm not saying if you do these things, you're guaranteed to have an easy life. What I'm saying is if you don't do these two things as a middle manager, you're guaranteed to have a hard life.
Now for a tip from the top in the business world of veterinary practice. The tip from the top today is from the Harvard Business Review in a short video which explains how to get employees to make progress on their own without being pushed.
It's an eternal management question. How do you motivate an employee to do something? For starters, how about a good kick in the pants? In a classic article, Frederick Herzberg actually gives the kick in the pants option careful consideration. While it may be popular, he argues, it is at best an inelegant and cruel short-term solution that a manager does to the employee. A manager's goal should be to get employees to move forward on their own without being pushed. To do this, Herzberg makes a crucial distinction about job satisfaction. It is not the opposite of job dissatisfaction. In fact, there are completely distinct factors that affect happiness versus unhappiness on the job. Herzberg calls the causes of job dissatisfaction hygiene factors, basic external needs like a decent salary, safe working conditions, and job security. It's easy to see how an employee could be disgruntled without such basics. However, while it is important to address these hygiene factors to eliminate dissatisfaction, they do little to actually motivate a person to higher performance. Herzberg argues that a second simultaneous approach is needed. Management should also focus on an entirely different set of internal factors to boost job satisfaction, such as challenging work, autonomy, recognition, and advancement. These factors engage employees so that they become self-motivated to perform well time and again. So once again, motivating employees requires a two-pronged approach. Managers should first ensure that employees are happy with the basic external needs of salary and work environment. At the same time, they also need to make sure that people's jobs are personally satisfying and that good work is recognized. And the kick in the pants option? Best to avoid that one, unless you're hoping to motivate your employee to kick you back in return.
Now for my quick business tip for this episode. The annual Wellbeing Award, promoted by the Society of Practicing Veterinary Surgeons in partnership with the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons Mind Matters initiative, is now well established here in the UK. It's designed to identify and turn the spotlight on practices where well-being is valued and the lessons learned are shared with owners and managers in other practices. Stress management is now a legal health and safety requirement, and a happy, healthy workforce helps you recruit and retain a top team, and of course is essential for every successful business. In the United States, the AAHA has launched a new veterinary management initiative which covers culture, HR and marketing, and includes sessions devoted to recruiting, training and mentoring, all of which depend for their success on the well-being of every member of the practice team. Here's a clip in which Stith Kaiser, leader of the HR portion of the series, tells us more.
In a recent performance evaluation with one of my practice managers, I posed the question, what is the number one challenge you experience as you fulfill your day-to-day responsibilities? She paused, pondered the question, and replied with a smile on her face, it's the 33 team members that you and I love so dearly, but sure can suck the hours out of the day. I know that frustration is not just limited to her. In fact, you've told us as our AHA members that culture and HR continue to be two of the biggest headaches you deal with. AHA has listened, and we've come up with a new iteration of the Veterinary Management School focusing on, you guessed it, culture and HR. My name is Stith Kaiser with Blue Heron Consulting. As a practice manager myself, I know how much you and I have to juggle day in and day out, let alone having to worry about hiring, training, retaining, motivating, engaging, and leveraging our teams. I am really excited to partner with one of AHA's finest, Derek, and together we've put together a whole host of material covering topics such as strategic hiring, the entire screening process from recruiting to interviewing to onboarding, to how we can achieve buy-in from our teams, to strategies for motivating and empowering them. And lastly, when it comes to time to conduct those performance evaluations, we're going to have specific tips to allow you and I to perform those as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Derek and I have one very simple goal with our course. We're going to equip you with the tips, tricks, and strategies to walk out of this course, go back to your hospital, and immediately implement what you've learned. You and I both know that the healthier the team that we have, the more cohesive we are as a unit, and the better trained they are, the better patient care we can deliver, the more positive, memorable client experience we can offer, and ultimately, those two things converge to lead to a healthier, more profitable practice. I can't wait to see you this fall in Lakewood and hone our management skills together.
So what's my quick business tip? Well, it's this. If you practice in the UK, take another look at the SPIV's website and see how your practice can contribute to the wellbeing program. If home for you is North America, your port of call should be the AAHA website to see how your business could benefit from the exciting new initiative in the Veterinary Management series. Well, that's about it for now. I'm John Sheridan, and this has been another video show from Veterinary Business. See you next time.